Robin Gillian, and this is a role play prepared for the Woodbury Institute Tape Assessment. Today's date is June 18th, 2012. Hello, I'm Robin.
Hi. I'm Adele.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Paul.
Hey, Paul. I don't have any information about your case. At Small Claims Court, we don't get anything beforehand. So in a few minutes, I'll ask you to tell me what brings you here today. But I wanted to give you a little bit of information on how mediation works at Small Claims. Have either of you tried mediation before for anything else or been in a mediation?
No, I haven't.
No.
Okay, so the way it works is it is a voluntary process. So at any time you feel that this is not working for you, or you prefer to go in and see the judge, we will make that happen. I'll bring your paperwork, and you'll get in line for who's ever next to go into court. The idea here is that maybe you've had some communication about what's happened between you, maybe you haven't, but this is an opportunity to have it now, and maybe hear some things that haven't come up. If possible, and you reach an agreement, we can write that up. It would go to the judge, and it would be legally binding. The Uniform Mediation Act in Vermont states that mediation is confidential, so I don't share your information with anyone else. What you choose to do is your choice. After the mediation, I tear up my notes, so I can't be subpoenaed. We have usually between 35 and 45 minutes for the room, and then if things haven't moved along, we can get you in line to go into court. We do ask you to sign an agreement to mediate, so if you think that you'd like to go ahead and go forward, I'll give you that paper to sign now. That'd be all right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Adele, you are the plaintiff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you would sign where the plaintiff is, and you would sign as the defendant. Great, thank you. We usually just start with the plaintiff, and we'll take a couple of minutes each to tell me what happened and what's going on. And if you feel like there's something that you disagree with or is bothering you that's on the table, make a small note and be sure that those things will be heard. Okay, so Adele, give me an idea of what brings you here today and what happened.
Well, it seems very straightforward to me, but obviously it's not, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. But essentially Paul hit my car. So I was in his neighborhood a couple months ago and was parking to look at a house there. And while I was looking at the house, I watched him pull out of his driveway and hit my car. At the time we exchanged insurance information, so I thought this was okay, fine, I'll be able to get my car fixed. But it turns out that Paul has been delinquent in making payments on his insurance, and so his insurance company obviously will not cover any damages because he doesn't essentially have insurance. And so now I'm out $1,200 that I need to fix my car, and that's why I'm here, because I need to get that money.
So your suit is for $1,200?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did that include the court fees?
No, it didn't.
Okay. So it's just straight $1,200.
Yeah.
Okay. And this concerned an accident that happened in front of his house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. Paul, what happened?
Well, what she says is definitely true. I don't dispute that. I definitely ran into her car, and it's true that I fell behind my insurance, and so I didn't have insurance to cover it. But my life's been really crazy recently. So I it's not like it was my intention to stop paying my insurance, but I'm going through divorce, and I gotta keep track of the kids, and I was trying to get my kid to school, which was late. It was like crazy, and I don't dispute that I ran into her car, but she was parked illegally. I mean, she was parked in front of a fire hydrant, and there's never supposed to be anybody parked there. I take the same route out of my driveway every single day. When I go to work, when I take my kids to school, you name it, I pull out in that space because there's no one there. And, you know, yeah, I hit her car, but she was parked where she shouldn't have been. And, yeah, it cost me $400 in repairs to my car as well. And frankly, I think that this is her fault. I mean, if she hadn't been parked somewhere that she shouldn't have been, none of this would have happened. So, I mean, that's,
Okay.
yeah, I don't dispute that this happened, but I don't think it's my fault.
Okay, so you were coming out of your driveway, you had parked, on the street to go look at a house, but it was behind, and so as you pulled out, not thinking that it would be there because it's a fire hydrant spot, you caused damage to her car, but it was obviously, it was unexpected, and you were just going to run to see a house across the street. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I'm like house hunting, so I was
Okay.
one of the houses in was for sale in the neighborhood, and
So you saw him hit the car?
yeah,
Oh.
well, yeah. I mean, I was at the house, and I happened to be leaving the house when I saw him in my car, which was obviously incredibly shocking. And you know, I was really pissed off. So yeah, and I mean, yes, there's a fire hydrant there, and I did park there, but like it's the winter, and there was hardly anywhere to park, and the roads hadn't been cleared, and I had to get to this house appointment to see the real estate agent, and so I just figured, okay, no one's gonna need the fire hydrant today, like it's obviously snowing, what's like 15 minutes. And so, yeah, I mean, I know it was parked illegally, but that doesn't mean someone should hit your car. It's like, okay, you get a ticket for parking illegally, or maybe your car gets towed, but like you don't have someone hit your car. Like that seems crazy.
So it sounds like that you were both in a hurry. You were in a hurry to get the kids off to school. You had a lot going on, and you're in a hurry to see the house. And what's the chances of a fire in a snowstorm, so to speak?
Right.
And so didn't seem to be a lot of risk to
Well,
parking there at that
right.
time. And but it sounds like the timing was very bad.
The timing was really bad. And as I said, like I admit, like I was scattered at that time, and it sounds like you were as well. You were late and decided to park somewhere where you shouldn't have parked, and I obviously should not have trusted that space was going to be open, but you did, and I did, and I don't think that it works out to $1,200 in damages, particularly when I've already paid $400. I'm like strapped for cash. I'm going through a divorce. I got to pay for my wife's moved out. I got to pay the mortgage on my own. I got to pay child support. I got to pay for after school stuff still. I'm stretched to the max here. I mean, obviously, I forgot to pay my car insurance. Who forgets to pay their car insurance?
It sounds like you have a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
It's a bit overwhelming.
And I'm not blaming that. I'm just saying, there are these things going on, and I don't.
This is what's happening.
I also don't. I don't have $1,200 to pay for your car repairs.
So anyone who doesn't have the money can hit another car and then not pay for it? Like that's ridiculous. And it sounds like you missed your insurance payments just because you were too busy, not because you couldn't make the payments.
Well, I'm going through some pretty stressful stuff. I'm not, it's not like I was out drinking late and, on a binge for the last few months. I'm trying to juggle my personal life, and
Who knows?
well, you could have been more, you could have been less careless in terms of where that spot is for emergency vehicles only. Suppose that there was an emergency. I mean, you said that, the fire in a snowstorm, but there wasn't a snowstorm, and there are still fires in the winter. I mean, there's a very good reason that nobody's supposed to park there.
I am not the one that was irresponsible. You weren't looking behind you. You were in a car, not looking behind you. And what if someone had been walking down the street? Okay, so yeah, it was a car there, but like, what if someone had been walking down the street? You would have hit a person.
you know, if you hadn't, the sidewalk doesn't cross through my driveway.
But what if someone
and
had
there's
just
no-
been walking in the street? I
Well,
mean, you're supposed to look behind you when you
some-
back up,
listen,
right?
Hey, I'm not again. I'm not saying that I'm without some blame here. I certainly should have looked behind me, but there is some blame for you to share as well.
Sounds like there's some real safety concerns. I mean, you both are clearly acknowledging that
Yeah.
there's some obvious reasons why we have fire hydrants, and there's reasons why we look behind us when we back up, because people can get hurt. And fortunately, in this case, that didn't happen. But there are some damages to consider, and how those get worked out.
I don't feel great about this. Like, I wish I had looked behind me. I wish I hadn't hit your car. I really don't. I don't feel great about this. But at the same time, I think your position is a little unreasonable to ask me to pay for the entire repair bill. I mean, it already cost me $400, and it never would have happened if you had just followed the law and parked where you were supposed to park. None of this would have happened.
If you would just look behind you and not like risk people's lives because you're backing your car up fast and hitting things.
Well, listen, I certainly should have looked behind me, but it was the action that you took that caused this chain of events to happen. And if you hadn't acted first irresponsibly by parking where you're not supposed to park, then none of this would have been an issue. And so I think that you share a fair amount of blame for this. I don't think that it's all my fault.
So you're thinking that there was some contribution to what happened, and that you paid $400 was for
Exactly.
your car.
Yeah, it was $400 in damages for my car, and that's really tough for me right now. Really hard.
With everything else that's going on in
Yeah.
your life, to come up with that amount.
So you've never like pulled into like the front of a supermarket where there's like those lines drawn to like run in and grab something where it says like emergency vehicles only.
Well, I would never leave my car there. I mean,
I was like across the street. I could have jumped in the car in 2 seconds.
you said that you were there for 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, I could see what was happening. Obviously, I saw you hit my car. I'm just saying, you've never like parked somewhere momentarily that you shouldn't have parked.
Well, I'm sure I've done that, once or twice or, even more than that. But
And you think that if someone hit your car when it was like in a spot that a car could be, like on a street, even though it was like illegally parked, that you wouldn't hold them
I
responsible.
don't think I would be without some blame there. I mean, when you stop for any amount of time in those big crossed out areas in front of the supermarket, you know that you're not supposed to be there. I mean, it's very clear. It's as clear as parking in front of a fire hydrant. I mean, everybody knows that. That's a non-starter. That's the first thing you learn in driver's ed. Don't park in
No, the
front
first
of
thing you learn driver's ed is to look behind you when you're backing up, not the fire hydrant rule. Anyway,
I mean, don't you think that if you purposefully, knowingly park somewhere that you're not supposed to park, that you share some blame for what happens? I mean, isn't there a reason that we're not?
It sounds like you really believe that it was going to be very short, that you were going to be there.
yeah, I mean, it
And,
felt like it was gonna be like the running to the grocery store to like grab milk.
And I thought it was going to be every day that I take my kids to school. 100% of the time, or 99.9% of the time,
Until now.
that space is empty.
But that's
right?
been
until now.
not a problem.
I know.
Doing the math seems like it would work out again. And so we're back to that timing thing. It was
Listen,
this time that happened for both of you.
Yeah, it was really bad timing.
I do feel, I feel like I'm partly to blame here, but I feel that I just wish that I'm happy to work out something that I can pay. I can't pay the $1,200, and frankly, I don't think that I should be on the hook for all of it. But if you would acknowledge some role in this, then I think that I want to work out some agreement. accept some
Yeah, I
amount
mean,
of money that's less than $1,200.
yeah, I kind of feel like I have to. And I get it. I mean, I don't know. I guess, just looking at percentages in terms of like who is more to blame, I definitely feel like I'm less to blame for parking in front of the fire hydrant than you hitting my car. But yes, it was in front of a fire hydrant. So, I will acknowledge that much.
So, what I'm hearing now is that there's been some contribution. You both feel like you contributed to this thing that happened that they call accidents for a reason, right? Nobody
Right.
expects them, and that maybe there's some movement that can happen to work something out between you. What are you thinking?
I mean, so you said you can't pay $1,200, but you're willing to pay for some of it. What does that mean?
I mean, I don't. Well, I mean, maybe this is a silly exercise, but I mean, would you say that we're both? Would you say that we're both equally to blame for this?
No.
Do you think that you're to blame at all?
I told you, I feel badly. I mean, yes, I should not have parked in front of the fire hydrant. But I definitely feel like not looking behind you and hitting the car is a bigger deal than parking in front of the fire hydrant. I mean, people park in front of wrong spots all the time, but they don't get hit. Like, you don't hit cars. Like, it's a big deal.
It's a risk that you acknowledge, though, when you do something that you're expressly not supposed to do.
I don't know. I can't. I wouldn't agree that like parking in front of a fire hydrant is the same as hitting someone's car.
So what? I mean, okay. So what percentage of the blame do you think that you?
10?
10%?
Yeah. I mean, I just parked in front of the fire hydrant for 15 minutes.
15 minutes or 15 hours. It doesn't matter. You were there, when I needed to pull out.
You needed to pull out, so you could have pulled out without hitting my car.
Well, I've said before, I definitely, I feel badly, and I wish that I had done something differently, but I don't understand why you don't feel the same way. I have enough problems as it is, and I
Well,
already
it's not like
spent
you're the only
$400 on
one
your
who has
car.
problems. I could tell you my sob story, but I'm not going to do that because we're a small claims court. I just want to be done with this. I just don't want to.
Okay, well, what if I paid you? What if I paid you half? I mean, that would put me on the hook for $1,000 total, which definitely says that it's more than half my fault. I mean, is that?
So you mean half of the 1,200? So you're
Well, I
saying
mean,
600 because you already
if we
paid
added
before?
it up, I mean,
'cause that would
this
be
whole
1,000.
incident has cost a total of $1,600.
I see what you
400
mean.
that I've already had to pay for with money that who knows where I'm gonna get it.
So I'm sorry, what are you suggesting?
So if I pay $600, which is half of your bill, would that satisfy you?
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I have kind of a strong case. Like if we go in front of the judge, I feel like the person who hits the car is more at fault. So I just wonder if I go to court, which I don't want to do, I don't know. I just feel like if you get more than $600, and I don't want to squeeze cash out of you, but I don't have a lot of money either at all, and my car isn't drivable right now, so I'm borrowing a friend's car.
What? Okay. What number would it take?
I feel like I would be okay with $800.
So at this point, you're $200 apart from the 1,200 that you started with. financial difficulties. So you're, right now you're, an 800 sounded more fair and 600 was what sounded fair to you.
I would do 800.
You do 800?
I would do 800. I would prefer if you and I could work this out, because as I said, I do feel like I, have a healthy share of the blame for this, and I just want you to acknowledge some role in this, because I really feel that that's the right thing. I do really feel like we share blame for this, but I am willing to pay.
So you're willing to meet her at 800?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is really me paying $1,200 total.
right, which is the 400 off from your car, essentially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, yeah, as I said, I think that I definitely shouldn't have parked there. I don't feel like the consequences should have been what they were, because I don't think that you should expect people to not look behind them when they're driving, but at the same time, I feel like that would make me feel comfortable. You could take the $400 that you paid for your car off of the $1,200, and we could leave it at 800.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
probably can't.
800?
I can't give it to you all at once, though.
Um,
Is there some way that I could pay you?
what's going to work for you, both
I could
as far
probably-
as
I could
paying?
probably do like $200 a month. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have to borrow money from someone to help get it fixed, I guess, but yeah, that's fine.
So you're comfortable with the payment plan of $200 a month for 4 months until it reaches 800? Okay. And when would the first payment be made?
Next month?
So
A month from now?
So July.
July 1st? And how would you make the payments? How would you want to receive the payments?
I could mail you checks.
Okay.
A regular personal check?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So,
Well, how am I gonna know the personal check's gonna work, given that your insurance didn't go through?
is there a different way you'd rather receive it?
I really meant. I really meant to pay my insurance. I didn't. It's not that I'm really not unreliable. I really, have every intention of following through on this.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that then.
With the personal check?
Mhm.
Okay. So the way I'll write up the agreement is that Paul agrees to pay a deal, $800, beginning July 1st, 2012, by personal check, and I'll write your address. And will that be received on the 1st?
As long as it's postmarked on the 1st, I don't
So
care.
postmarked on the 1st,
Yeah.
and that this will resolve completely this issue. Then I'll bring it to the judge and he'll sign it, and they'll make copies for you both, and I'll bring back a copy for each of you to take with you before you leave.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you for coming in for mediation today, and you can wait outside if you like, and I'll be out just as soon as I can. Sometimes if they're hearing a case, it might take a couple minutes, but we should have you out of here as quickly as possible.
Okay.
All right?
Cool.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you, Paul.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you.
Appreciate it.